Tonight, I would like to discuss 5 of the major global challenges that will require United States-China cooperation now and in the generation to come. First, terrorism. Many Chinese nationals died alongside United States citizens from 80 countries, on September 11, 2001. Since that day, the United States and the world have focused on the threat posed by violent extremists, which endangers all of our security and prosperity. As we work with China to combat terror, some of our cooperation will be diplomatic, requiring the United Nations Security Council approval. Others will address terrorist financing, an issue that will become more prominent in our bilateral relations as China's banking sector becomes more global. Our second challenge is weak, poorly governed, and failing states. In the future, the United States will continue to work with the UN Security Council, particularly its permanent members like China, to find solutions to these threats. But Security Council action alone sets the stage for more intensive diplomacy between interested and responsible powers. We see this today regarding Sudan and Burma. In the case of Sudan, China supported Security Council Resolution 1769, which called for the deployment of a robust United Nations African Union hybrid peacekeeping force under United Nations command. China played a pivotal role in brokering the agreement in support of this plan and has committed 300 engineering troops to the force. We appreciate this sort of engagement in Sudan and have asked Chinese leaders to persuade President Bashir to unequivocally accept the United Nations African Union force. But China's interests in Sudan and Burma go beyond that of an interested Security Council member. China purchased more than $1.9 billion worth of Sudanese oil last year. Beijing remains a major trading partner and provider of arms to Burma. As China's global footprint grows, so will its interests and responsibilities. We believe that China's support for international intervention in Darfur shows a realization in Beijing that a strict policy of non-interference is out of step with the norms and challenges of our globalized world. We will continue to look to Beijing now and in the future, not only to help the people of Darfur, but to prevent political instability and civil violence in other parts of the world. Our third challenge is ensuring continued global economic prosperity. We welcome Chinese participation in the global economy. As President Bush has noted, the United States welcomes a strong and prosperous China. In the years since my time in Hong Kong, more than 4 decades ago, the Chinese people have performed nothing short of an economic miracle. This growing economic prosperity brings global responsibility. China must lead and encourage international economic growth. 5 years after entry into the World Trade Organization, China and other large developing nations, like India and Brazil, should be leading the charge in dismantling trade barriers in the Doha round, not claiming that it has done enough. As Chinese products reach ever more markets, the United States will work closely with Chinese regulators to ensure that only safe products reach our homes and businesses on both sides of the Pacific. These types of real concerns of the American people must be addressed, and we will address them with China in our strategic economic dialogue and in other settings. While this administration believes strongly in the benefit of American workers and families that international trade brings, we recognize that some industries will face stiff competition. When we see unfair trade practices, we will take action at home or in the WTO. We also will raise our concerns over industrial policies and intellectual property rights directly with the leadership in Beijing. Protectionist trade legislation, on the other hand, is not the answer. I would just mention one other responsibility that all large economies share in encouraging global growth: helping those who are being left behind by globalization. On this front, China has a long record of assisting in the economic development of poor countries, and we welcome continued Chinese investment in and trade with developing countries that can help to lift millions out of poverty. But one of the areas we'd like to gain better understanding is Chinese foreign assistance projects and low-interest loans. Our concern is that without transparency and coordination with other lenders and donors, Chinese programs and projects can undercut multilateral efforts to promote accountability, good governance, and sustainable growth. Our experience has taught us that without these considerations, investments and projects can not only waste money, but destabilize the very country the investor wants to support.